On March 28, 2023, we saw Eiji Aonuma himself sit down to play Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. We got around 10 minutes of actual gameplay from this mysterious sequel. So let's break it down. Aonuma's gameplay begins on the surface of Hyrule, not far from the Dueling Peaks mountains and stable. We can see that the minimap looks very different to Breath of the Wild, which makes sense considering that Link no longer has the Sheikah Slate. This new minimap even has coordinates, not only X and Y, but a Z coordinate too. Later on in the footage when Link skydives, we can see the Z number rapidly decrease. As well as the minimap, we can also spot temperature and weather gauges, as well as the sound meter, all from Breath of the Wild. In the top left, we can see that Link has 4 hearts at this point. Breath of the Wild started with 3, and could be upgraded by swapping spirit orbs at a goddess statue. After completing the Great Plateau tutorial area, players had the option to upgrade either their hearts or stamina wheel by 1 point. Perhaps this gameplay section here takes place just after this game's tutorial, and Link is upgraded from 3 hearts. Below this we have the D-pad. Right being used to swap weapons and left for shields, just like Breath of the Wild. But this time, up on the D-pad is marked with an apple symbol, the symbol used to depict materials in the inventory. We'll come back to this later, along with the L button just above it. In the background we can see a new Sheikah Tower, which we saw a lot throughout the previous trailer, and all across the world in this sequence too. They're notably different from the towers found in Breath of the Wild, but at this point we don't know their story. Link begins riding towards the Dueling Peaks stable, from which we can see a smoke signal is being sent. This didn't happen in Breath of the Wild, and I'm not sure what it could mean. He rides past a group of enemies, which we actually see him fight later on up in the Sky Islands, known as Constructs. I'll talk more about them in detail later, but it is interesting that we see them on the ground as well as in the sky. While Link is riding, we can hear the day riding theme from Breath of the Wild.
今日それについてですね、お話ししてるとちょっと時間がなくなっちゃいますんで、それはまた皆さんの目でお確かめください。
Confirming that at least some of the original game's soundtrack will appear in the sequel. As he rides close to the group of constructs, the music changes to a more ominous tune.
広大なフィールドがなんと、はい、空の上にまで広がります。ね、空の上の方に島が見えてると。
Which could be the battle theme for this type of enemy. As Link approaches the stable, we see someone familiar, a Korok. Luckily, this one doesn't seem to be part of a Korok seed puzzle. He's wearing a giant backpack and says that he needs to find his friend. We don't know what this is about. Perhaps he's looking for Hestu. But there's also the fact that the Great Deku Tree appears to be missing in Tears of the Kingdom. So maybe the forest's Koroks have left to find their missing father. At the stable, we can spot a familiar face. Beedle is back. There's also a pair of children, a group of people near the cooking pot, and a Hylian retriever. Hopefully, in this sequel, we can finally pet the dog. On the left, in the distance, there's a strange purple cloud. What it is, though, isn't clear at this point. There's also this, directly in front of the stable. There's a cart, and there's a group of wooden boards, both small and large. These are the same materials that the car was built out of. Perhaps materials for use in vehicle building can be found in easily accessible locations like stables. Just further on is another group of building materials. This time, more wooden planks and a sail, found conveniently right next to a river, allowing Link to easily construct a raft. There's another possibility though, which I'll come back to later. On Dueling Peaks, we can find a spiral stone, of which we see many across Hyrule's surface, and even on the Sky Islands too. There's a giant group of islands directly above this region, from which a rock falls, leaving behind a green glow, like the one seen at the end of the previous trailer. Link climbs the mountains to reach the fallen rock, and we get a demonstration of one of his new hand abilities, Recall, which allows him to reverse the flow of time for certain objects, like we saw before with the spiked ball and the fallen rock. we can see that the symbol next to the L button has changed from a sword to this symbol, which matches the one found on the back of his hand in the delay announcement clip and the statue displayed in Tokyo and recently at PAX East. Considering we see this symbol displayed in this clip, when it doesn't actually look like Link is using the ability, it could be that this is Link receiving this ability near the start of the game. Link uses recall on the rock, and it begins to rise into the sky, travelling back along the same path it fell. It seems that Link will be able to stop this at any point by pressing L, or waiting for this blue circle to end, at which point the object will freeze for a second, then begin to fall. But that doesn't matter. Link has used the rock to gain a massive amount of altitude. We can see that the Z coordinate has changed to over 500. It's worth noting that these coordinates are 4 digits, meaning that it's unlikely that we'll travel up higher than 9,999, though we do see that these coordinates can be negative. Perhaps we'll see a negative Z value if we travel underground. Link also doesn't seem to have unlocked the map for this area. The minimap just shows a blue grid. We cut to a much larger group of islands. We can see a spiral stone up here too, though it lacks the green energy swirl and looks more like the one seen at the end of the last trailer. The minimap up here has been unlocked too. The blue grid is visible, but we can also see the geography of the Sky Island detailed here. It seems that this group of Sky Islands is the same one we've seen time and time again in trailers and promotional screenshots, with the huge tower structure visible here. Link drops down and begins to explore the island on foot. Before long, he encounters an enemy, one of the Zonai constructs we saw earlier on the surface. This cute little machine is obviously very reminiscent of the larger Golem construct we saw in E3 2021. It's clearly been built by the same people. I love its design. It has a little set of teeth below a single eye, and an orange crest on its head. It carries a tree branch, just like Link, so it isn't very tough, and is defeated without much effort. Instead of exploding into a cloud of malice, like Bokoblins, the construct explodes into green-blue energy, then shatters, leaving behind a soldier construct horn and a Zonai charge. We've seen that most enemies in this game appear to have unique horns that are designed like weapons, which it seems we'll be able to use to craft our own tools. The soldier construct horn seems to be no different. Even more interesting is the Zonai charge, which right away, absolutely without a shadow of a doubt, confirms that these machines were built by the Zonai, the mysterious, ancient tribe whose ruins are found in Breath of the Wild's world. This was something we knew almost for certain before, but now we have concrete proof. The Zonai are a central part of this game. Get ready. We don't know what the Zonai charge will be used for yet. Its design resembles a gyroscope, not unlike giant ancient cores from Breath of the Wild. Link climbs a hill and reaches 2 boulders, like the ones which could be rolled down hills in Breath of the Wild. Here he demonstrates another of his arm abilities, the one I'm most excited about, Fuse. This is what this symbol means next to the L button in the top left. Like the recall ability, each of Link's new moves will have a symbol, and be accessed with the L button like runes. Aonuma presses L and begins the fuse. Right away, options to fuse using either Link's old wooden shield or his tree branch appear. Either can be selected by pressing their respective buttons, or Link can cancel the fuse with B. Energy flows from Link's arm towards the boulder, and by selecting the stick, Link fuses the two, creating a sort of makeshift hammer. The boulder shrinks and fuses with the stick, which we see adds +2 to the weapon's damage, making it now deal 4. Aonuma explains that not only does this increase strength, but also durability, and can be used for other effects too. Link uses this fused hammer to take on 2 Zonai constructs, and takes a long stick from one of them, as well as more soldier horns and Zonai charges. He then fuses this long stick with a farmer's pitchfork to create an absurdly long weapon, adding +4 to the stick's damage. The farmer's pitchfork dealt 7 base damage in Breath of the Wild, so it doesn't seem that fusing adds together the full strength of the weapons used, just a part of it. Either way, Link uses it to take down another soldier with ease from a distance. Next, we see another use for the fuse ability, adding materials to arrows. This might be what the material button is used for, seen on the D-pad here. Link draws an arrow, then opens a slider where he can access his materials. He's able to select anything by moving the right stick, and even sort through the inventory by pressing Y. It is possible that this is what will open when you press up on the D-pad, but it could also be that this is used to eat food and heal without opening the menu. We recognise most items on this list from the original game. Keese wings and eyeballs, chew jelly, raw meat, Hyrule herb, but there are some new ones, like this horn that seems to be made out of amber, 9 leeks or spring onions, 2 types of Zonai construct horn, whatever this orb is, and a small Korok leaf called a Korok frond. This is what Link uses first. It not only adds 1 to the bow's attack strength, but presumably would add some wind effects too. Aonuma doesn't loose this arrow though, instead choosing to attach Ice Chew Jelly to create a makeshift ice arrow, freezing a Zonai construct. Link then demonstrates what we saw in the previous trailer, using a Keese eyeball to create a homing arrow. With it, he's easily able to snipe 2 birds out of the sky. Next, we see that Link has fused a new type of mushroom, called a puff shroom, to his old wooden shield. This creates a great defensive tool. When a construct hits his shield, the puff shroom is used up, creating a cloud of spores, causing the enemy to lose sight of Link. This will be incredibly useful for escaping dangerous combat encounters, or for setting up sneak strikes like we see here. He then fuses this stick with a log laying on the ground. Just like with the boulder, the log shrinks down and is attached to the end of Link's weapon, increasing its strength and creating what the game refers to as a log club. Next, Link is faced with a problem. He needs to cross a river to reach the other side, which we can see has a rail, which we know Link can ride using his shield. The river is too wide for him to swim across, so he needs to find another solution. This solution is Ultra Hand, the 3rd arm ability we see in this gameplay video. Ultra Hand was also the name of a toy sold by Nintendo in the 1960s, which is a fantastic little callback. Ultra Hand is represented by this symbol, the same one that appeared a couple of months back on the Zelda website. It appears to function similarly to Magnesis, like we saw in the previous trailer where Link lifts a wheel out of a bog on the Great Plateau. It can be used to manipulate certain objects, but also to stick them together. If 2 of the right objects are placed close to each other, then a green glue will connect them. While Ultra Hand is still active, this glue can still be seen, like here where the log is close to the propeller, but the glue doesn't set until Link switches off the ability. Ultra Hand is the vehicle crafting mechanic. With it, we see Aonuma build a raft out of logs and power it with propellers. These are the same, smaller propellers we saw on Death Mountain in the previous trailer, different to the larger ones used in the flying machine here. They are activated when struck, causing a battery icon to appear on the screen, depleting as the propellers spin. They can be hit again to deactivate them, and the battery recharges by itself. When Link uses Ultra Hand here, we can see viable objects glow orange. The logs and propellers nearby, some barrels, even these larger structures in the distance, which match those found on the first island Link reached during this gameplay clip. Except for these, this island was empty, and still a considerable distance from the others. Maybe Link needed to use Ultra Hand here to build himself a bridge or staircase, or even a vehicle to reach the higher islands. Here, though, Link uses Ultra Hand to build himself a speedboat, which is just incredible. He's easily able to float across the river on it and reach the other side, where we see another Zonai construct. This one isn't a soldier though, it's much more similar to the Golem creature seen in E3 2021, and it doesn't seem aggressive. For a split second we can see its name, Ranger Construct. We don't know if this is the exact same construct, their designs are identical, but I initially got the impression that the one from E3 2021 was much larger. Next, Link uses Ultra Hand to build himself a flying raft. He's able to activate 4 propellers by striking the centre of the vehicle, where the glue is. It seems all moving parts will be activated and deactivated at the same time. And finally, we see the 4th arm ability, Ascend. Breath of the Wild gave Link 4 Sheikah rune abilities right at the start of the game, on the Great Plateau, so perhaps we'll see the same thing in Tears of the Kingdom, and unlock Fuse, Ultra Hand, Recall and Ascend all at the very start. Ascend is the ability we saw first back in 2021, the same one that patents were filed for. Link needs to find an area with a ceiling, then can activate the ability to jump through it and emerge on top. This can be used in buildings, like we see here, but also caves. Link enters a cave with another Ranger construct and a cooking pot. Maybe these rangers are found near their own little camps. He uses Ascend to jump through the cave ceiling, where we get an incredible looking transition while he swims through the rock and emerges on the mountaintop above. This ability will be huge, not just for traversing the Sky Islands, but for Hyrule itself. Next, Link battles a soldier construct, but this one wields a fused weapon, which it uses to push him off the island, sending him into freefall, plummeting towards Hyrule below. Here we can see a completely seamless transition from sky to land. There's no loading screen, no transition, just free falling. From here we can get a great look at Hyrule below, the mysterious glyphs on the ground, the holes with malice at their edges, the new Sheikah towers, and of course, the Sky Islands. Link can also hold R to accelerate his descent. He pins his arms to his sides to lower the air resistance and drops like a rock. Of course, this is a video game. Landing in water negates all fall damage. Link lands near the Proxim Bridge, not far from Dueling Peaks, and this is where the gameplay session ends. There are a few interesting details to note here on the ground, like a bokoblin being carried by a circling, flying creature, like we saw in the previous trailer, more smoke signals coming from the riverside stable in the distance, and another set of building materials close to the water. So that's the entire gameplay session with Aonuma, from the Dueling Peaks to the skies above and back down again. We've gone through the clip roughly in order, but now let's go back and cover some interesting details that are worth pointing out. The first is the minimap's icons. We can see a few interesting symbols appear here throughout the clip. First, a symbol which appears to be a cave, which matches up with the cave Link enters to perform Ascend. Interestingly, some of these cave symbols feature a tick, while some don't, perhaps indicating which of these caves have been previously explored. There's also this symbol, which in Breath of the Wild marks a shop. Here, it seems to line up with this structure, a blue ball filled with smaller ones above a chute. So, as it is a shop, it seems that this will dispense items in some way, like a pachinko machine. We can also see minecarts and rails next to it, so it seems that Link will be able to traverse the islands by rail as well as on foot. There's also this symbol, very similar to the shrine icon from Breath of the Wild. The similarity in design and colour makes me think that these will be fast travel points, just like some Sheikah structures in the original game. However, the design of the icon appears to match the design of the spiral rocks found across Hyrule, a rounded shape surrounded by a ring. We're not yet sure what these rocks are for. It seems that there'll be fast travel points, but they could also be ways to access the Sky Islands, or even the Zonai equivalent of Sheikah shrines, containing mini dungeons and puzzles. There's also a glowing blue point on the map here, next to one of the pachinko machines. The colour obviously connects it to Link's arm and the Zonai technology and magic, but we can't say what it is yet for certain. Finally, there's this, a battery icon. This probably has some connection to the battery-powered Zonai vehicle parts. Perhaps this symbol depicts battery packs, like what appears to power the car in this shot here, but we don't know for sure. Ultra Hand might let us build houses from these sets of materials. In a later shot, we see another set of materials, this time next to a pile of bricks, covered in a cloth with a mysterious symbol. It's quite close to Beedle's symbol, but not exactly. It looks like some effort is going into rebuilding the kingdom. Maybe Ultra Hand will allow Link to help. While Link is shooting birds, we can spot a dragon in the skies above. This isn't one of the main 3 dragons from Breath of the Wild, Naydra, Dinral or Farosh. It's a new dragon, grey with a yellow mane and blue accents. We saw this dragon in an earlier screenshot here, circling this same group of Sky Islands. We've now seen 2, possibly 3 Zonai constructs, a ranger and a soldier. The rangers appear to be caretakers. They're friendly to Link and are found near campfires, but I don't think this means that the soldiers are evil or corrupted. I think they're designed to defend the islands, and they're just following their programming. And when Link uses Ascend to reach the roof of a small hut on the island, we can spot the box golem enemy in the distance, though it seems to be in a deactivated state here. I previously mentioned some of the game's music, but we can hear the game's soundtrack at other points too. Some is identical to Breath of the Wild, like the stable theme, and the music for cold areas. But there's a lot of new music, like the Sky Island music I played earlier.
はい、枝が落ちてますね。こういうのはね、どんどん取っていきましょう。あときっと役に立つんで。
Or this, which plays while Link is free falling.
非常に降りることができるんですね。気持ちいいですね。
And while Aonuma speaks, we can hear a different, full version of the Tears of the Kingdom main theme.
いかがでしたでしょうか。前作から一新されたリンクの新しい力をお見せしました。私のプレイを見て、あれができるならこんなこともできるのかも
Which is just beautiful. So that about wraps this analysis video up. We've covered the entire gameplay video and new mechanics in detail. Of course, I haven't covered absolutely everything. I'll be sure to post more videos over the coming days and weeks digging more into this game. And I'm sure other Zelda creators will be posting analyses and theory videos too. I honestly can't believe how good this game looks. It's everything I wanted it to be and more. Thanks so much for watching this video. If you liked it, leave a like and subscribe if you haven't already for more Zelda content. I apologise for my voice in this video. I'm not feeling 100% and I'm sorry if it comes across a bit rough, but I really appreciate you tuning in anyway. Cheers guys, and I'll see you next time.